Hey, third graders, welcome back. We're going to revisit Manjhi Moves a Mountain today, and we're going to talk about characters and challenges that they face and kind of how they deal with those challenges. What does that tell us about them as a character? So let me show you this next slide. Kind of explains what I was just saying, right? How does a character respond to a challenge? So when things get tough or get hard, right, how do they react? What do they do? Do they do something that makes them stronger and they persevere? Do they give up? Does this challenge defeat them? Whatever reaction or how that character responds says a lot about them on the inside. All right, so I want you to be paying attention to thinking about Manjhi, but we're also going to talk about some things that maybe you have faced in your life, right? You're a kid, so you're a little bit different. I don't think you're going to be chiseling a pass through any mountain anytime soon, but this may have happened to you before, right? Spilled milk. We've all dropped something, whether it's something in the kitchen, maybe you've got your backpack and you drop it and everything falls out, right? Think about when those types of things happen. How do you react to that? Do you start, if this is you in your kitchen and you drop something and it spills, do you start, pouting and slamming cabinet doors? Or maybe this has happened to one of your siblings or your parents. Do you walk out of the room and ignore it? Do you say, you know what, let me grab a towel, I'll pitch in and help you clean it up? It's not a big deal, right? Think about how you might react to that or how you have reacted, right? When you face a challenge. Now it's just spilled milk. It's not, right, chiseling through a mountain, but it says a lot about you as a character, how you respond to some kind of a challenge in your life. So think about that. Check out this next one. Let me kind of set the scene for you. Oh my goodness, let's say it's a half day of school. You've been home in the afternoon with your brother or sister, older brother or sister, and you've made a mess, right? And then mom or dad comes home from work later, and this is what they walk in the door to, right? Think about how you could react to this big challenge. Oh, you've made a mess. It's still here. Mom and dad are home now. Are you going to run away, right? Hide in your room, pretend it wasn't you that made the mess? Or are you going to say, you know what? I should have cleaned this up earlier. Give me some time and I'll get this cleaned up. Or maybe even you make a plan. You say to your brother or sister, hey, I'll take this half, you take the other half, right? What does that say about you? Maybe that you're a bit of a leader, that you can come up with a plan, right? Or if you run and hide, you're not being very responsible, right? So it says a lot about you, how you respond to challenges. Here's one last one. I know how I would respond to this. Say you're on a picnic, okay? And you maybe go play and you come back and there are ants all over your potato chips, right? Are you going to scream and throw a fit and run around, right? And just freak out? Or are you going to try to pick it up, clean it off, throw things in the trash? Are you going to get down and check it out? Are you really curious and you want to see what they're doing? Or are you kind of skittish or afraid and you run away, right? How do you respond to a challenge in that moment? So those were some examples, right, of how you can respond, right? Because you're a kid, right? You're 8 or 9 years old. These are things that kids face. These are the kinds of challenges. Let's think about the story, right? Manjhi moves a mountain. So let's talk about him for a little bit. I want you just to focus on the top picture, which is the mountain, right? So there's that big mountain in the way, right? The two villages on either side. And he realizes and decides it's not fair, right, for people to not have access to things like schools and markets and hospitals, right? The one side of the mountain does, that village does. His side of the mountain, his village, does not have access to all of that stuff. So he realizes that's not fair, and he decides to do something about it. What does that tell us about him, right? He's caring. He's empathetic. Empathetic means kind of putting yourself in somebody else's shoes, right? He's trying to do something good for everybody, not just himself. So that's one challenge that he faced in the story. And that's really the big challenge, right? That's the big problem in the story, is that there's this mountain dividing these two villages, and they really both deserve to have equal access to all of that, right? The hospitals, the medicine, the food, all of that. So he tries to do something about it, right? So that's the major challenge in the story. Along the way, he faces some other challenges, right? If you look at the picture of the tools, he needs tools to do that job, to get through the mountain. So what does he do? He comes up with an idea, takes 3 of his goats, and he trades them in for that hammer and that chisel. What does that tell us about him as a person? He could have given up and decided not to do anything, right? But instead, hey, I have goats. I bet somebody could use those and we could make a trade. That tells me that he's resourceful, but he comes up with a plan with what he has. How is he going to make this work with what he does have? He's also, I think, very committed. He's made a plan and he's going to stick to it. He's not going to give up. The other challenge that he faces, right? If you look at the picture of him right here, he's not just thinking about himself. He's thinking about his whole village. Everybody deserves these things in life, not just him, right? So he's thinking ahead and thinking how life would be better for other people, not just for himself. That tells us that he's dedicated, right? That he really is committed to the plan, and he's going to continue and he's going to fight for what he thinks is right and do what he needs to do to get that done, for that to happen. He's also resilient. Resilient means you can bounce back from things. So when you have a hard time, you have a bad moment, you got to get up, brush yourself off, and keep going, right? Don't let it get you down. Remember how long he worked, right? 22 years, which is one of his other big challenges, was time. And over those 22 years, he got older and older and older, right? His body was probably not as sharp as it was when he first started. He was tired. So that challenge of time in the story is a really big one. People gave him gifts, right? And that helped him to keep going. He knew that they were appreciative of what he was doing and that they were grateful for what he had decided to do 22 years earlier. It tells me that he's a very thankful kind of a person because he receives those gifts and it's motivating to him and he's grateful and thankful for that. He's also very kind. He doesn't give up and he wants to do the right thing so that everybody can benefit, right, from his hard work. So today, right, what I want you to be thinking about is when we have challenges in life, right, whether we're a child or an adult or a teenager, how we deal with those challenges, how we respond, says a lot about who we are as a person. And if you think about it and you're not very happy with how you react or respond to things, try and make a change, right? You have the power to do that every day. Remember what Danny says, you can make choices. The power of having a choice is huge. So you can change those ways if you're not feeling like you would be proud of yourself for other people to see how you react to that. Do we all have moments? Sure, right? Not every day is going to be a Manjhi moment, and that's okay. So what you're going to do today is you're going to have a chance to look back at those pictures and you're going to share some of your insight and your thoughts on how you think people could react, right? Maybe a positive way and a negative way. And what does that tell you about that person? Okay, and be thinking as you read books, what do these reactions tell you about all the characters that you read about? Not just Manjhi, but in every book. All right, good luck. Have a great day.